I am Sally from Troublemakers at Work, which is the organization that has organized this meeting, and we will hear today from Steeven, who is a striking bin worker from Birmingham and is currently in a dispute with Birmingham City Council. You'll hear from him first. You'll then have the chance to ask some questions. Please put your questions in the chat so that we can see what questions are going to be asked, and I will then call your name and you can ask your question directly. But it's just easier to moderate it this way. So after that first Q&A is done, we will hear from Joel. Joel is a striking refuse worker from Sheffield, and after he is done talking about the dispute and workplace resistance 1 year of the Labour government, you have the chance to ask him a few questions. And then please stay towards the end because we also have some information from our organization and the work that we do. So without further ado, Steeven, please make a start.
Hello, everybody. I'd like to start off by saying thank you very much for having me. So yeah, the dispute with the Birmingham bidmen basically started back in January, where we was told we was having a mass meeting, and we were told that the grade threes, which is a health and safety pivotal role of reversing the trucks into places like cul-de-sacs and just main roads and stuff like that. Basically, the grade three would act as an extra set of eyes. They were told that they would be facing losing between £6,000 to £8,000 a year, which roughly works out to about £650 less in your wages a month. So naturally, we weren't happy with the decision that was made because I mean, this actually comes after the fact that every refuse worker had lost 100. Every Birmingham refuse worker had lost between £100 to £150 last year due to start times. So that roughly meant that people had lost about £1,000, but because that was across the board, we didn't really say anything. But to start off this year with losing up to £8,000, I mean, naturally, yeah, we didn't want to accept that deal because I mean it wasn't a deal to start off with anyway. So yeah, we signed the ballot flew with flying colours. We started striking in January for 3 days. Saw that there wasn't any impact. It basically just the media was making it out like we were just a bunch of rowdy people just standing on the gate making a whole bunch of noise, and that we was asking for a pay rise, not that we was actually facing a pay cut. So then naturally we after we seen that there was no improvement, we turned around to our union Unite and we said, listen, we would like to ballot for indefinite strike action, which again we balloted, passed with flying colours, and then we started March the 10th, um, um, uh, striking 5 days indefinite, and that's when we actually saw that we actually made an impact. For So that's where all the videos that you guys had more than likely seen circulating all around social media, even news articles. I mean, they were saying that that we were thugs, that we were violent against scabs slash agency workers, which is not the truth because we've got supervisors who have got kids who literally work on the agency, so they're not gonna you're not gonna what do you call it, be threatening or whatever towards them and then play happy families when you're at home. I mean, it's absolutely silly. So yeah, and then 3 weeks ago they turned around and they said that they're going to take between 10 and 12,000 pounds off the drivers. Now if you've been in the service for 25 years, you're on the top pay grade. I don't know about you, but who can lose £1,000 a month? I mean, it's a lot of money. I mean, especially in the cost of living crisis that we're all facing. I mean, £1,000 literally your mortgage money and your bills sort of thing. It's a lot of money for anybody to lose. So yeah, it is a very crappy situation. None of us would even wanted to get to this stage, but unfortunately, our lives and our jobs at risk, essentially. And I mean, this all comes after we all us working class people had all voted for Labour to come in, and we thought that Labour was there for the working class. Unfortunately, they're not. We should have known from back in December, I believe, when they told the elderly that they were going to stop the winter fuel payments. We should have known from then that literally it was slippery, dangerous, slippery slope. Because literally it made my skin crawl as soon as I found out. Because I mean, literally, you've got a whole bunch. There's a few million elderly people who have paid their whole life into a system that basically just kick them to the curb at the end of their life. And I mean, it's absolutely disgusting. You paid your whole life into a system that essentially don't care about you, sort of thing. And yeah, it's very unfortunate. But I feel I'd like to say thanks to unions and trade unions, because without them, um, no, whatever your employer decides to do as an employee, you'd either have to accept whatever deal that they've proposed, or you reject it and go get yourself another job. So I feel like unions help give the voiceless a voice, sort of thing. And especially nowadays, I mean, times are getting harder. Rent keeps going up. Same way with even the cost of living. I mean, when's the last time anybody here done like a 20, 30 pound weekly shop? I mean, it's been a long, long time. I mean, things are constantly on the rise, sort of thing. For myself, I'd roughly be losing around £2,000 because I'm a basically a supporting role for the grade three sort of thing. It's kind of like a filler if you ain't got one on whatever round. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, me myself, I genuinely love the job that I do as a bin man. Same way with many others that are in the exact same situation as myself and Joel. I had the pleasure of meeting Joel at Sheffield Wiedemann Change, where yeah, literally I found out that he was going that day, not just he and his colleagues are going through the exact same struggle. But also, I've been just like Joel. I've been luckily enough to be invited up and down the country, where I've actually found out that it's not just bin men that are facing cuts. It seems like majority of government workers. When I mean government workers, I mean people who literally get a paycheck by the government, sort of thing. So, i.e., teachers, doctors, that people of that sort of nature, they're all facing cuts as well, sort of thing. And my argument is, if you've got kids already now that want to become YouTubers and footballers and TikTokers and all these jobs that don't really help society. I mean, let's be real. What does football contribute to society? Nothing. What does TikTok contribute to society? Nothing. Where in 50 or 60 years' time, how is society going to look when all these kids already don't want to do these jobs now because they're not really, their jobs are not looking attractive, sort of thing. So if you take pay cuts now, I mean, the country is just it's gonna be looking very what's the word, sorry, I'm French, so sometimes it takes me a while to find words, but the country's just gonna be in a state of decline, which is very unfortunate. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's us, the working class people, who help keep the wheels of the on the bus turning. But unfortunately, we're being attacked by a government that's supposed to be there for the working class, but really we need to boot them out and get someone in for the working class, and um that's got people in mind, not just money and numbers. Because yes, money is great and whatnot, but at the end of the day, you've got to make sure that you're able to have a society that's functionable, that's able to be long lasting, sort of thing. I mean, that's what we want for this. And again, I'm not even from this country. I'm French, sort of thing, but I've lived in this country since I was the age of 5 years old. I'm now 32. Like I like to say, I was born in France, but I was programmed in England. But yeah, I love the country, love what I do. Just like majority of you all in this chat, like you guys love what you do. So to be told by your employer who they're the ones who have made the mistake. I mean, I'm not the one who spent the millions of pounds that they're claiming. I mean, if I was, I promise you now, I would not be in this room. I'd be on a nice beach sipping a pina colada. But unfortunately, I'm here in this Zoom chat. But yeah, I mean, it's very unfortunate. But like in the business sense, for these CEOs, they've got numbers and money in mind. So we've got to do the same thing, but with people, and just get all people together and make sure that all our voices collectively are heard, and that we just get a fair just a fair life, a fair job. Because at the end of the day, we're not asking for much, but it seems like we're asking for the moon, the stars, and the whole solar system. Thank you.
Thank you, Steven. That was really great. Thank you.
No worries.
I don't see any question in the chat, so I'll ask a question to kick it
Yeah.
off, sort of. So you were talking about how the strike is portrayed in the media, and that is nothing new. I think we all know from past strikes that media likes to portray these in a certain way that is often not helping those that are on strike, fighting for better conditions and better pay. And one thing that I have noticed in these reports is that the strike is always portrayed as a burden to the community that, you know, the bin workers are serving. How is the actual response from the community? Would you say there's support in some areas, or what are you facing? What's the situation?
Overall, the support has absolutely been phenomenal. No word of lie. Every couple of days we have a different member of the public come in that either give us like crisps, samosas, little things like that, and literally even words of encouragement as well. Like, but not all of them. I'd say a strong 80%. But unfortunately, you'll never get everybody on your side, sort of thing, because you'll always have those that will listen to every word that the news say and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean it's unfortunate, but yeah, what you call it? Yeah, we just yeah. Sorry, what was the question again? Sorry, my mind went so blank then.
It's all right. It was about support from the
Support,
community.
that's it, yeah. But yeah, no, honestly, overall, the support has been absolutely great. Unfortunately, like I said, you're not always going to have 100% of the people on your case. But even with a few naysayers, once they've turned around and like, oh, you guys are asking for a pay increase, and we're like, no, boss, we're standing to lose a quarter of our wage. Could you face losing a quarter of your wage? Every time you make it relatable, they turn around and like, no, no. I mean, let's be real. Nobody can lose afford to lose a quarter of your wage, even those right up top that are on 300K and whatnot. Because the way I see it, you fit your lifestyle around how much you get paid, sort of thing. So whether you get paid 30K a year annually or you get paid 300K annually, you fit your lifestyle around how much you get paid. Same way with what type of house you have and all them kind of things there. So I'm literally standing fighting for my brothers and sisters who have got mortgages and could potentially be homeless because of what our employers have done.
Okay, thank you. Joel, you have your hand up. Would you like to say something? Could you unmute yourself, please? Joel, I'll unmute you.
Thanks. Yeah, I wanted to ask about the safety critical role. Does that mean that the policy's changed now and you don't have to use a reversing assistant and both loaders can just sit on the wagon while the driver
But
reverses?
that's what they're trying to say. But again, it kind of makes no sense because, again, as we both know, the 14-ton trucks. I mean, it's not like reversing a car sort of thing, and naturally, the driver's got blind sides. But yeah, they've basically what they've done is they got rid of the role altogether. They've just deleted the role, and then also they're changing the grading system from a grading system to a banding system, kind of like the NHS, if any of you guys are aware with the grading system, but that's actually called a banding system. So you'll have band A, B, and C would be for like your normal workers, and then D upwards would be frontline managers, and then so on and so forth.
Because where I work, loaders have to act as a reversing assistant. And if there's two loaders on a wagon and the vehicle reverses, they've both got to be outside, even if it's not a complicated reverse. And people have lost their jobs for one of them being sat on the wagon when the driver reverses even a few yards. But
Oh,
we're
wow.
not paid according to what we do. It's not like the council because it's a private company. So, but you couldn't reverse without an assistant where we work. And they're saying that you don't need to, and it's safe to do so without. And that's seems like they're cutting health, and unless they're
Yeah, no,
expecting.
definitely.
Joel and Steven, this is really important. I think also the difference between working for a privatized employer, as you do, Joel, and then working for the council, as you do, Steven. Maybe that could be picked up when Joel is speaking, but I would quickly like to come to some questions from the chat, if that's okay. So, Pete, if you would unmute yourself and ask a question.
Thanks, Chair. Solidarity, Stephen and Joel. I was one of those who came up for the mass picket 10 days ago. I just want to ask, it strikes me that one of the key factors in trying to win will be whether other Birmingham City Council workers will, because they're going to face degrading and cuts and so on, and whether they're likely to take action, what sort of support you're getting from the unions within the council. Thanks.
It's a brilliant question. None. So not from what I've gathered, none so far, because we've only actually gathered today that basically what the council have done, they come for the binmen first, only because we're the ones who basically kick up a fuss when we're not happy about things. We're probably like the rowdiest out of the whole organization, because majority of the rest of the people in the organization are all well, there's a big majority that are office workers and stuff like that. So they know that if we accept the deal, then it'll be easier on the rest of them, sort of thing. So I mean, we're literally fighting for a much bigger, a much broader picture. But then also not just people in the council, people like Joel and other people that are facing pay cuts and even job cuts as well. I mean, I think lecturers are looking to lose about 10,000 jobs this year. So it's a lot of people that could potentially why it's life changing for a lot of people, definitely.
Thank you. Ian, you have a question as well.
Hi, I'm Ian Allinson from Unison, Greater Manchester Transport branch. You've had intervention from the courts and the police to try and stop your picketing being effective and to try to force through vehicles and effectively undermine the strike. I was wondering what you now think, and it kind of is related to Pete's question about solidarity from other or action by other Birmingham council workers. What do you think it will take for you to win now? And whatever that is, how can we help you do that? Because clearly the stakes are pretty high for all of us to make sure you win.
Yeah, I mean, to keep applying pressure on to the bosses. I mean, at the same time, I don't want to say anything to potentially get me sacked, because I mean, at the end there, when all this is said and done, I still want a job to go back to, just like Joel and everybody else that's striking at the moment. But I feel like I was saying earlier, to these CEOs and bosses, they've got numbers and money in mind, sort of thing. So I feel like we need to do the same thing, but with people, sort of thing, invest in people and let them know, like, guys, this is a much bigger picture. Because again, like people like myself, like I genuinely love the job that I do as a bin man. I've always wanted to do something to help people, sort of thing. So as a bin man, I'm cleaning up communities, and then there's little things when you see like the elderly that live alone, and their only form of interaction is talking to a bin man for 5 minutes and having a little kid at the window give you a little wave and little things like that. Like it is absolutely beautiful. But again, like I feel like we just need to one, make it relatable for the working people, because I mean at the end of the day, like I don't want to sound like a broken record, but nobody can afford to lose a quarter of their wage over what their employers have done. Because I mean, it seems like these employers be spending millions and millions of pounds, not just in the council, everywhere else. And again, we're not a poor country, we're one rich country. Where's all this money going? Where's all this money going? It seems like it's going to places like Ukraine and stuff like that. But my argument is, instead of cleaning somebody else's house, why don't you clean in the house first, sort of thing? But people like to, well, this government, they like to, send billions and billions abroad when we can fix problems in house and have money left over for the people of Britain and the people who come to Britain to help with the economy, like such as myself, and to help contribute to society.
Right. Thank you for your question, Ian, and for your answer, Steven. Do you have time for a few more questions, or do you need to go?
No, I can wait for a few.
Cool. Great. Then Thomas has a question that he asked in the chat.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, so solidarity here from Burn-on-Trent, and all power to you guys, and amazing that you've been going on for so long. It's really good what you're doing. Solidarity to you guys. So you spoke about people, getting in people who support the working class. With Labour not supporting us, where would you go? Would you go to, say, like the Greens, or would you try like an independent movement? What would you do?
I don't know. The way I see it, I feel like whether people vote or they don't, whoever will have in power, there's always someone up top managing the puppet sort of thing. So like I truly feel like we need a brand spanking new party that has people in mind. Because the way I see it, if you look after the people, it'll give them a good incentive to do a good job. If they do a good job, boss gets more money. If boss gets more money goes into the economy. It all has a positive butterfly effect. But whereas if you start pay cutting people, then people are not gonna want to go above and beyond. People are not gonna want to go the extra mile sort of thing. I mean, as soon as last year when we lost 150 quid, there was so many people that were like, oh well, you know what, we're not taking any extra bags, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. But it's like at the same time, I just turned around and told a lot of people, like, you've got to, like, it's not their fault. It's your fight is with the wrong people, sort of thing. You've got to. It's these bosses that are trying to what's it called, cut corners, but then maximize profits and stuff like that. But again, I don't know. I feel like, sorry for jump back on track. I feel like we need a party that's got the people in mind, but not just the working class, everybody sort of thing as a whole. But unfortunately, it seems like these people that we vote for don't. They've just got their own agendas and their own money in mind. I mean, look at Rishi Sunak when he left. His missus's businesses, her net worth, sorry, quadrupled. That should not be allowed. That should not be allowed at all.
John, you had your hand up, and I saw, and then you put it down.
I'm really sorry. I'm skipping the queue. I was going to ask a question, but then I noticed, there was like tons of questions, so I don't mind waiting my turn, or if
yeah, because Evie followed procedure and put it in the chat, so I'll take her first. Is that okay? And then you can ask your question. So, Evie, if you would like to unmute yourself, please.
Hiya, sorry, I'm literally mid-cooking, but otherwise all good. I'm from the Unite London and South East branch, currently striking at Z2K, so solidarity with everyone else that is currently on strike. I was just wondering how you're kind of keeping morale up with the strike being indefinite, because obviously that's going to have like a lot of knock-on impacts for people.
I mean, from time to time, it can be a bit demoralizing, especially when, for example, you don't know, you're uncertain of what's happening and things like that. But other than that, morale hasn't changed, sort of thing. I mean, we're still looking to keep the fight going on. I mean, at the end of the day, it's people's lives that are being affected. I mean, if we accept these pay cuts, I mean, our lives will change drastically, because I mean, £650 less in anybody's wages, it's a lot of money. Well, for us at the bottom anyway, it's a lot of money. But it's very, very unfortunate. But we've just got to keep persistent. But from time to time the morale dips, but then it just spikes back up. It just because we've got so much. We support each other as bin men as well, and because we've got, well, originally it was 4 depots, but 2 of them had merged, so we've got 3 depots. But we all chat to each other and we all lift each other up. And then, for example, when I go to events and have a letters of solidarity and even strike funds and stuff like that. I'd tell the lads and the ladies that are working with us, to say, hey, listen, teachers are with us. This union's with us. Like, all these working class people up and down, I've literally, and nobody has said that they don't support the bin men, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's a burn that everybody will feel.
Thank you.
Full solidarity.
Okay, thank you for the question, Evie. John, it's your turn.
Well, maybe not, but thank you. Stevens, I think might be the fourth time that I've had the pleasant opportunity of listening to you. And the first time I heard you speak, I was thinking that the We Demand Change crew should actually make sure that they try and go out knocking on doors to get you into Birmingham City Council next time there's elections. And now you're just getting better and better, like, so. You're a well-polished politician at this stage, so I hope people in Birmingham have some sense and try and get you elected. Steve, we got a settlement for our strike action last week. So we've been out 9 months, and I just wanted to thank you and all of your colleagues, because we went down recently to the mega picket, and you know, it's just seeing you guys out there, like, kind of, because talking about the last question, morale and how do you keep it up, like, and it is hard, like, and you know, it's a beautiful thing seeing all of you guys standing up for your rights, like, and it's not just your rights you're standing up for, it's all the rest of us too. And it's a pretty painful, lonely place to be at times, like, and us being able to see you guys doing it for the last few months alongside us has been definitely something that's kept our morale up. So I do appreciate that. Just a bullshit aside, I actually got a fine through the other day, because I went through a clean air zone, and Birmingham City Council set me a fucking £110 fine. I just thought that was hilarious, isn't it? I mean, you know, so you pay 40 quid early or something like that.
Yeah.
110 quid. I was like, fuck me, they can't even pay the bin men, you know.
I'd have appealed it. Well, to be fair, the Birmingham Mail have came out with a article today. Just the police have been paid up until this point 1 million from the council. That half of that would have put this situation to bed.
Yeah, I didn't even ask my question. My question was actually going to be, because the whole thing about negotiating and all this, like, I mean, have they actually got off their arses and started making offers to you?
The first offer was 8,000, which basically it's a non-offer. What the offer actually is an advance on your payment. So the first offer was £8,000. That £8,000 would mean that your money was protected for a year, but you couldn't spend this 8,000. What you do is each month you'd pick at this £8,000 and top up your wage with the money. But again, if you've got kids, mortgage, stuff like that, £8,000 not gonna last you long. The second offer was 16,000, so they had doubled it. So but again, you'd have to do the same thing. But then I think 3 days later, they actually withdrew the offer. They said, oh, it was never an offer. But from when you put it in writing and you put it out, I mean, it's set in stone from then. You can't take it back. But yeah, they were supposed to have a meeting yesterday. But then we're having a ballot to basically prolong the strike, which, again, none of us want to. But again, we felt like we've been backed into a corner. We've got no other choice but to.
Yeah, well, good on you, and all the best to you and all the rest.
Congratulations on winning your dispute as well. Congratulations.
Oh, cheers,
hopefully we all win our disputes as well. And you look like Will Ferrell. I was meant to say that. You look like Will Ferrell.
It's taken you 4 meetings to come to that one. Jeez.
Yeah, you know, I've been meaning to say it the first time I seen it. I was like, I'm sure I've seen this guy before. Oh, bless. But yeah, no, congratulations to you guys, and everybody else as well. Keep fighting a good fight.
Yeah, well, had you come to the picket at Christmas, you would have seen me dressed as Elf, like, just to a total media scumbag trying to attract. Anyway, but yeah, keep up the good work.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations, John, from me as well, and Troublemakers. Pete has his hand up. Is that a question?
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, Pete. Ask your question, please.
I'm from Birmingham. I'm in Birmingham Unite Community Branch, and we've been doing our best to provide solidarity. I think it's a monumental dispute in terms of Birmingham. Like, they're talking about 150 million cuts this year. So what they can get away with the bin workers, they're going to extend to all the other council workers in terms of downgrading and slashing wages. It's really quite an appalling situation for a Labour council. But I think that Labour has left the room in terms of the working class, and it's very difficult now because Birmingham's pretty much always been a Labour city, pretty much like Sheffield, but it's never been a left-wing city. It's always been a right-wing Labour city. And now under Starmer, you get these councillors that just have no principles. You know, what is being done to the bin workers is absolutely disgraceful. You know, they are strike breaking against the bin workers because they are historically, in recent history, the most militant part of council workers. I think there's a lot to be said to Unison and to GMB, who also have members who are bin workers, and it is outrageous that they walk through the picket lines and carry on working. They really must join the strike because they are going to be affected by these wage cuts as well. And the only offers that they've got is basically, you know, like Steeven was saying, you know, the offers are to go and work elsewhere, maybe on the same wages for a year. It's all rubbish, basically. People have been working there for 25 years, and they don't deserve to be treated in this way. And I think that the GMB and Unison members who are bin workers really must be pressurized now, because the strike is, you know, the strike is already legendary. It's been going on for 5 months. It's polarizing the whole Labour movement in the West Midlands, but also nationally to support them. Yet there are Unison members and GMB members who are not joining the strike, which would really make a difference. You know, I think the other thing, sorry, I'm going on a bit. The other thing is the use of the police. You know, that's outrageous as well. So picketing is illegal when the police say it's illegal. You know, at other times, if the strike's going well and they're stopping the bins coming out, then the police come back and tell everyone, we're going to arrest you under Section 14, I think it was. And now the council has got a court order saying to arrest everyone. It's absolutely outrageous. You know, Labour are attacking the trade union movement, and it's really important that the whole trade union movement rally to support the bin workers in Birmingham and in Sheffield and everywhere else. You know, they are attacking workers' right to strike. Sorry, I'll shut up now.
No, you're right. I mean, unfortunately, Mr. Keir Starmer was never in the room to begin with. From the moment he got elected, literally just kept kicking the workforce more and more and more deeper into the ground. Unfortunately, like I was saying earlier, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but from when they rejected the cold winter payments for the elderly, I mean, that was absolutely shocking. You've had a few million people who have spent their whole lives paying into a system that just don't give a crap about them, sort of thing, and it's very unfortunate. Also, for what you said for the police force, literally, when was it? I think about a month ago, I had an interview with a news person. I forgot who it was, but they turned around to us and they were like, "Oh, there's been reports that you guys are threatening," but I had a female police officer that had been on the picket with us for 2 months. I turned around to her and I said, "Look, you've been here for 2 months." She said, "Yeah." I go, "Have you ever, like even in a slight moment for a split second, ever felt threatened or anything like that?" She goes, "No, you guys have been lovely. Offering us cups of tea, cups of coffees. We even have a little barbecue when the sun's out and stuff like that." So again, like, we have to do things to boost our morale, but then it's unfortunate when you've got other forces at play who are trying to counteract what you do. I mean, same with what Joe and his colleagues are going through. I mean, they just literally want to be they want a union to be recognized. Am I correct, Joe? Can say that? Yep. Yeah, literally, that's all they've been fighting for, and unfortunately, they've been fighting for 9 months just to have a union recognized. But realistically, going back to what you were saying about Unison and GMB, they're failing their members. Unions would not exist. They wouldn't have a leg to stand. They wouldn't have a spine to stand on without their members. They wouldn't have the money. They wouldn't have the millions. They wouldn't have the resources, sort of thing. So again, both go hand in hand. So yeah, it's unfortunate that Unison and GMB are not doing as much as they should, because like you were saying, if we lose, then we all lose. It's like the saying, an injury to one is an injury to all, sort of thing. And that's exactly what would happen with the Unison and the GMB members. But again, without unions in place, excuse my French, but we would be absolutely fucked. We would be you'd have no leg to stand on. It's either you accept the deal or you reject the deal, and you've got to go get yourself out of a job. But it's a slap in the face. I mean, I'm basically the baby of the group. The last time I was part of the last full-time recruitments, I've been in the job for 10 years. So I've been there for a decade. Some of my colleagues have been working since they were 18. They're 55, 60 with kids. They've worked their whole lives. You can't tell them, "Oh, well, go work in the office now." It's what they're used to. You can't expect them to change. It's like, I don't know, getting a secretary person to become a butcher. She's a secretary. You can't mix the two jobs. And then also to get people to try break up the strike by getting the army and things like that involved. I mean, the world's literally on the brink of war. Respectfully, what business has the army got to do sorting out the bins? Because I'm not gonna go put up an army, get up and go help the army, sort of thing. And same way with NHS. I absolutely highly respect doctors and nurses. I've always wanted to do that job, but I'm a squirmish at blood, sort of thing, just like probably a few people in the chat are too. But again, most of us who are in these jobs, we love the jobs that we do. So why should we be punished for decisions that ultimately weren't down to us?
Yeah, thank you for everybody's questions, and of course, Steven, great work answering that. Really insightful. I'll just quickly say that John wrote in the chat whether you are a union rep, and it was the only thing that saved him from getting disciplined for speaking out to the media. So a little tip here from John.
I might have to become a rep then. I might have to. But to be fair, a few people have told me to become a rep. The Socialist Party want me in their party, and today you guys have told me to run for MP. So I've got quite a bit to do. But no, I want to thank you all for the beautiful words of encouragement, and from the behalf of all the Birmingham refuse workers. Solidarity to all the Sheffield bid men and women, and to everybody else that's going through any kind of austerity. Just make sure that your voices are heard. Be loud, be proud, and yeah, shout as loud as you guys can, and make sure that your voices are heard. Because at the end of the day, like I said, we are the ones that help society function. So yeah, keep the good fight going, guys. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Steven, for taking your time. I mean, you're in this dispute and you take the time to talk to us. So solidarity from me and from Troublemakers at Work as well. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. God bless, and have a lovely evening.
You too. Thank you.
God bless. Bye-bye.
So, now we come to our second speaker, which is Joel. Joel, we have already heard Joel is a refuse worker in Sheffield. slightly different situation, works for a private company, but I'm sure he can explain it much better than me. So Joel, over to you.
Yeah, I'm an employee of Veolia, which is a multinational based in France. They operate the contract on behalf of Sheffield Council to empty residential bins. It's a 35-year contract, and it makes Veolia about £11 million a year just in Sheffield. It was originally run by the council, and the council, like most councils in England, recognises three unions. So you pay your money, you take your choice. If you don't like the service you're getting at one union, you go to another. Now, it's an autocratic employer that doesn't listen and doesn't get it. And GMB, which is the only recognised union and the main union there, has got a history of nodding through deals without consulting members and a meeting behind closed doors with management to agree the best way to stitch up the workers. You've got a shop steward, a full-time convener, whose favourite answer, GMB convener, is, what can I do? And if you say, why have you done this? Why have you put the same offer back to the members, just worded differently? That's what the management told me to do. And another time, when the Unite officials said, can we just work together on this one issue, not recognition, the amount of dismissals that have happened, his answer was, well, I've only lost 6. He said, yes, but they shouldn't have been sacked. He said, I know, well, I've told the management they don't listen. So what's happened over the course of about 3 years, a significant proportion of the workplace have gone over to Unite. At one point, it was over 50%. Some were dual card, but over 50%. And they came to a point where we asked for joint recognition. And although in the past they said, yes, when you get up to a certain number and you've sustained membership, you can ask again. But they flatly said no. However, they already recognised health and safety and shop steward reps, so they already recognise us to an extent. And they said that they've got an exclusive recognition agreement with GMB, and that cannot change unless GMB agrees. That's a lie. It's not a marriage. It's not a contract where you've got to ask permission to involve somebody else or divorce. You're just asking to have an agreement that exists in other Veolia workplaces up and down the country, even in Sheffield Veolia workplaces, some of them, and what happens in the council up and down the country. It's normal for unions to work together. And we said, if you don't give us recognition, we're going to go on strike for it. We've been on strike for 10 months. Right. So they say this is an inter-union dispute. That's the official line. It isn't an inter-union dispute. Veolia is an autocratic employer that doesn't listen. The greatest antidote to that sort of employer is a strong member-led trade union whose officials listen to them. And we want to be represented by that union. There's no reason why Veolia can't end this dispute tomorrow. Before Christmas, a few months before Christmas, GMB agreed to us being recognised. We were happy for Veolia to find an accommodation with GMB, even though they didn't have to. And GMB agreed to recognition with certain terms. And one of those terms was that they could have recognition at another site that was Unite only. We said, yeah. Then we said, sign it then. They went away and didn't sign it. So we don't want that anymore. And they came out with something completely ridiculous, like we want recognition at these 23 other sites. Well, it should be like for like. Anyway, while this is going on, there's a leverage campaign where the Unite organisers put pressure on Veolia's paymasters, including the council, but including government and local authorities in Britain, Ireland, France, even America. Protests outside this world-famous company that's supposed to have a really good reputation for keeping the world clean. Right. So it embarrassed them a bit, especially when they were getting phone calls in France from America saying, where's Sheffield? And what are you doing? What are you doing to them? So a few weeks before Christmas, before the beginning of December, we stood down this leverage campaign, a ceasefire, in order to negotiate. The employer was talking to us. And at the beginning of December, there was what's called a carve-out recognition agreement, not joint recognition. It means we've got the same rights as GMB, but they don't have to agree to it. There's two separate bargaining units. That was fine. We voted to accept it. Our leaders signed it and emailed it back. Can you sign it back? 11th of December, they decided they weren't going to sign it. The excuse was that GMB had threatened to ballot its members for strike action if we got recognition. But they've never entered into official dispute at any stage with the employer. They've never had a consultative ballot, let alone a postal ballot, where they could have a mandate and say, look, Veolia, we mean it, we're going to strike. And in fact, we managed to get 136 people out of the bargaining unit, all unions and none, people who are working, people who are not working, to sign it. And so we've got no problem to equal recognition. They ignored that. 14th of February, the council facilitated all party talks. But like Veolia, it's not our problem, it's an inter-union dispute. GMB didn't turn up to those all party talks. Supposedly at that all party talks was going to be proposed a courtesy agreement by Veolia. Now, a courtesy agreement might fall short of what we expected, but we're not going to say, no, we're not coming, it's not what we want. It might be something that gives us exactly what we want, but in another name. So we went to this meeting, our representatives. GMB didn't turn up. So our guy said to the council, look, let's look at this courtesy agreement. It might be something we're happy with. Well, GMB aren't here. Have you seen it, Veolia? No, we've seen a paragraph. So we can't discuss an agreement that nobody's seen. And the following Monday, GMB rep convener and regional officer and that, who had been on the gate encouraging people to cross the picket line, stood with the management, even in very similar uniforms. That's just a coincidence that the colour the same, but it's very telling. They weren't seen for a bit. On the 21st of February, we had a community event on an estate not very far from the yard at all, called Wyburn, a traditional working class labour area. And there was amazing support from the community. And remember, a lot of people in Sheffield, because bins are getting emptied, because Veolia's throwing everything at the dispute rather than settling it, they don't know that there's a strike. The bins are getting emptied. So, and that day, the regional officer was driving round looking, taunting himself, because he can see how good our solidarity is. He was torturing himself. He might have shouted something. I didn't hear it. Now, the CAC were also involved. They are like ACAS, but if they make a decision, it's legislation, it's the law, it's statutory recognition. While they were deciding if they were going to arbitrate or not, we had a massive demo outside Sheffield Town Hall on the 18th, 19th of March. We marched from Lumley Street. It wasn't a mega picket, but they had to shut the depot anyway and work from somewhere else. They've got other sites that they've hired out in case the strike gets, in case it escalates. So we marched about 2 miles from Lumley Street Depot to town. And there was a massive show of support from various unions, TUCs, individuals, organisations. Some Birmingham people were there. The French were there. I spoke in French outside the town hall, got a standing ovation. It was an amazing atmosphere. The town hall were having some sort of meeting that day. It was rescheduled. They hid away somewhere. So ever since Christmas, and including March, it's been re-escalated, the leverage campaign, with a vengeance. And we're not going to back the leverage campaign down until we're walking up there with what we want. We're not going to have a ceasefire while there's talks, because they played silly buggers before. But they can end this now. That agreement that was on the table before Christmas gave us everything we wanted. It might not have been perfect, but we voted to accept it. That could have ended it. Veolia's thrown everything at this dispute to beat us rather than win. They've potentially, we don't know, they've potentially lost contracts, but the overtime bill itself has cost a significant amount of money. But they're so scared to have a union that sticks up for its workers. They see how powerful we are now when we're just asking for a seat at the table. What would you do if we're asking for a decent pay rise? So there's been another, I wouldn't call it a mega picket. It was low key, but Sharon Graham was there and there was a lot of supporters. That boosted morale. She said, I'm escalating it. And it has escalated. And recently, a group of volunteers, we're not supposed to know who they are, and they've got masks on, they blocked the entrance. And this is where the police have been quite good. They blocked the entrance by walking in a circle in front of the wagons when the gates open at 7:15. 7:15, wagons leave the yard. We've got a sort of agreement with the police that if we go at 8, we can do it. That is making an impact, and it's gone up from 2 days to 3 days. We've said we want a Birmingham style mega picket. I went to Birmingham. I could feel the solidarity. It was amazing. I thought we want some of that here. And the Unite organisers are on board with it. Other SWP and people from We Demand Change. Like I say about Veolia, overtime's through the roof. There's irregular payments, enhanced overtime payments, as much overtime as you want. Paid £30 a day just to come in on your holiday, and then guaranteed overtime if you want it. On an easy round if you're coming on your holiday, so that you can have it's job enough, task and finish, so you can get overtime from 11 o'clock. And GMB workers, unfortunately, think, well, we're not on strike, we're not, and if we can make a bit of money out of it, why not? There's GMB members that aren't happy with GMB, they're aware of its shortcomings, but they don't believe there's an alternative. They don't believe Unite will be ever recognised. If you say to them, if everybody joins Unite, they'll have to recognise us. Oh, I don't know. They don't want to be the first one to do it. They're waiting for somebody to follow. I'm happy to always be one of those people that's the first one to follow, for everybody else to follow. And that's why whenever I get the opportunity to talk about our struggle, I do. And I'm always the first one they ask. And sometimes I'm the only one that wants to say anything. But that's all right. Not everybody can be an orator. Not everybody can be a militant. Not everybody can jump in front of wagons. But, and we are not allowed to it anyway. We are separate from them. They're not Unite members, they're just supporters. We don't know. And so, but I said to people who are stood on that picket line, anybody that's on strike, you're doing everything you need to just by doing what you're doing. We're not on strike for money, but in real terms, wages have fallen by about 22% over the last 10 years in Sheffield. With proper negotiating powers, Unite wouldn't have let that happen. Jobs would be safer. Contracts have constantly been dumbed down ever since privatisation. Onyx took over, it was a fairly decent contract, not as good as the council, but there's 3 or 4 other contracts, all subsequently worse than the other. And when I signed mine, I said to the GMB convener, look, I'm missing 5 days here. Oh no, I've had it in writing, that's a new national agreement, I had to agree to it. Well, we have local agreements. That was lies. Anything for an easy ride. The sweetheart deal between GMB leadership and Veolia benefits the leadership of GMB and Veolia, and everybody else gets shafted. And this you expect to be shafted by management, but not by people who are paid to represent you. I've taken every opportunity to speak about what's happened. The thing that frustrates me most is when there's a blockade, I know that those people who are at work are annoyed. Some of them are GMB members, they're not on strike. But they've got the power to end it now by just saying, we're not on strike. We don't object to what these guys are asking for. Give it them so we can work normally without disruption, or we're walking out. a quick show of hands, a word in the ear of the convener, all walk out. They can say it's not safe. We don't feel safe with them stood there. Not that we're threatening them. And the fact is, if they said we're not working under these circumstances, we agree with them even if we're not members, give them what they want, and they walked out, they wouldn't sack them, and it'd be over tomorrow. There's so many people that say they'll come across when we win. That's frustrating. They can dual card like I did when I first joined Unite. And yeah, I mean, when you're on strike, when your union's on strike, you get a letter saying, if you decide to strike, it's your choice, but you either work normally or not at all. That's fair. GMB aren't on strike and the manager's preventing them from working normally. That hour and a quarter that they lose every day we blockade it, it's not just an hour and a quarter. You're hitting traffic at the wrong time. You're hitting schools at the wrong time. You're having to have a break after 6 hours, whereas you might normally finish after 5 hours. You're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Everything messes up. So although I long for a mega picket and I want it to happen soon, these 1 hour blockades are causing mass disruption. And today they blockaded one of the tips, which is where cans, bottles and plastic goes. That's a major artery that if it's clogged, it'll mess everything up because there's other companies going there and take stuff in and out, and they're queued up. I was lucky to see that because I was getting a lift home off the regional officer who had to pop by there. I don't know if everybody's seen it, but that was a massive morale boost when I saw that. And they'd left our place and gone there. So we can't go back without the recognition we deserve, or we're acquiescing to everything that Veolia and GMB is allowed to happen to us. And it means that whatever we have lost being on strike for 9 months has been for nothing. So I have no intention to go back. And I sincerely hope that when we have to reballot after 3 months, which is about the end of this month, or the beginning of next month, that people do the right thing. Yes, we might feel we've not achieved anything because we haven't got what we wanted, but Sheffield and Veolia are on the wrong news for the wrong reason. Sheffield's a big town, but it's not world famous. But they're talking about it in Paris. They're talking about it in Dublin, in America. And if we win, we'll be on the map for all the right reasons. We are the vanguard against companies, which is most companies, but especially private companies that don't like strong trade unions. And remember that all this is happening in a Labour-run council that recognises trade unions itself, and it's happening under a Labour government that says it wants to repeal all the anti-union laws. Well, actually, the right to be in a union and be recognised, I think that was settled over 100 years ago. We're fighting for something that we thought our forefathers had already won for us. But if we have to wrest those rights back from the bad guys, we'll use all means necessary. And that's all I can think to say for now, but any questions I can tell you.
Thank you so much, Joel. That was really insightful, and there was so much detail there, which is so necessary to understand this dispute. So thank you again for taking time to explain it to us and to show what you're struggling with, which I think is a very unique situation. And what I found really insightful is how you tied it to, the Labour government, and this is a private workplace, but it has union recognition, and yet that doesn't guarantee that workers are treated fairly. Thomas had a question in the chat.
Thank you, Chair, and yeah, solidarity again. In Sheffield, I'd like to join you on the picket line. Solidarity to you. So yeah, Viola sounds fun. I was just going to say, what were the best practices to entice those GMB members to join Unite? Those have joined Unite from DMB, or was it more of that people realised GMB wasn't working for them, so they thought Unite was a better fit for them? Do you have any best practice around that, or was it just that you was basically in the right place at the right time?
It was word of mouth by ordinary employees. When a significant, there'd always been about 5 or 6 people there that were Unite, and unfortunately, at least one of them was a serial scab, but he got away with it. It told me well, I'm in Unite, not my strike. And I thought, well, one day when Unite are recognised, you're more likely to have to go on strikes. It's a bit more militant. No, it was known that people were in, and it was known that people were increasing numbers. We had to be the people with the main leaders of Unite there, the key players, had to be careful not to do anything that could be called poaching members, because even when you've got joint recognition, you're not allowed to do that. My Unite shop steward told me he only had 1 day's training on recruitment. And he says, because if you get good results, they speak for themselves. Now, somebody that wasn't the shop steward, he was just an ordinary worker like me. I happened to get a lift back from the tape on his wagon, so I jumped the queue kind of thing. And he says, have you thought about joining Unite? And I said, look, I know it's a better union. I know that if they were recognised here, they get results. I said, but it's only going to work if everybody joins or a lot join, and they're not going to. I said, but I know that's not a good answer. And I'm open to the possibility. He says, what if I told you that Viola's got a national recognition agreement with Unite? They've even got a full-time convener in Liverpool. I said, you know what? I'll join. He says, I'm not telling you to. I'm just making you aware of the facts. I said, no, I'll join, and I'll join GM, and I'll stay in GMB for now. And a few other people did the same. And without recognition, what you've got to remember, we still had the shop steward. And even without a shop steward, any colleague can represent you. They might happen to be Unite. And the results spoke for themselves. And when the GMB full-time convener left under something of a cloud without anybody knowing, and it turned out we hadn't got any representation because the people at other sites weren't there either. We were left without any cover. So we didn't have a shop steward or a convener, but a few unpopular decisions that were made against staff, like suspended from driving through no fault of your own accidents. They love to suspend people. And somebody the next day, he was back on his round. So without any proper organisation, without a convener or shop steward, Unite was getting these results, and people went across en masse. We had a health and safety rep, and they had paid time off for training. And this was all going on up until the strike. Unite is recruited by results. People have heard what Unite's doing. They know if they follow the news that nationally they're more prepared to take action. And there was definitely not any poaching. People were just going up to who then became the shop steward and is our leader now, and saying, look, I want to join, get me a form. How do I join? Agency people even joined. People on the probation joined. Unfortunately, they didn't all come out. But yeah, recruitment, if you ask our leader, our shop steward, you see your results speak for themselves because people talk to each other.
Thank you. And then I would suggest that, because I've just looked at the clock and it's been an hour, and I think it speaks for Joel and Steeven that we are all still here listening to them, which shows how excellent they are as speakers. But I would suggest, because we all have kids and cats and washing machines to return to, that we hear from John asking his question, who again has not followed procedure, but that's fine. And then I'll wrap it up.
Yeah, just a quick one, Joel. Just to say, I met you, the Megapic, and one of your colleagues actually. But I mean, what a sort of shitty state of affairs to be in, to be the preferred union of a multinational company. I mean, I don't know what GMB are doing up there, like that they would actually deny fellow workers their rights to actually have a union representation. It's absolutely disgusting. I didn't realize, Joel, that that's actually what you were doing. And I just wanted to really say, like, kind of credit to you and all of your colleagues, like, and thanks. And actually, it's a really crucial time to have your fight, your battle when Labour is sitting down doing fuck all down in Westminster. So hopefully some people will have sense and they'll be inspired enough to do the right thing and to start changing legislation and give people back their rights, you know. So, but yeah, thanks so much. Anyway, Joel, that's all I want to say.
Thanks, yeah, you're right. What's happened with people migrating to Unite has proved that there is a real choice. And think what effect it's having has been on strike when we haven't got recognition. It proves how powerful Unite is. And also, when it was the pay deal for GMB, well, that GMB negotiated, it went through quicker than normal. They accepted the first offer, 5% and 3%. Not a brilliant offer, but it was much more better than a normal first offer. And it went through at the first time of asking. Normally, it doesn't get sorted till Christmas and it has to be backdated. Why were they so quick to offer a fairly decent offer? Because we were outside and they were scared of everybody being on strike. There's one thing I forgot to mention. Part of that pay deal was a one-off £750 payment as well as the 5 and 3. And it was only payable if you were working during that previous month. It's not if you're on strike. Holidays, all right. And if you're on sick with a valid sick note, you got it as well. There's some people that are working that didn't get it who thought they were going to get it. About 15 altogether. So, in a way, Veolia have committed a bit of a faux pas. They messed it up for themselves because that bribe to stop people crossing to our side and to possibly try and get some of us to go back, which didn't work. Well, it's proved that they're liars and it was just a bluff. And we're hoping that some of those 15 members come across, because even if only half of them come across, even if only 5 come across, that's a trickle. And they're going to think that's going to be a flood soon. And so far, only one person has come across a few weeks ago because he was having a hard time in there. We want more people to come across. Strike pay from day one.
Thank you, John, for that, and Joel as well, and solidarity also to you from me and Troublemakers at Work, and I think from everybody here. I hope this will go the way that you want to. Steeven, yes.
I've just been working
We
away
have
in the
a question.
Well, it's going to be thanks to you, really. I've been working away in the background, keeping quiet, making notes of the whole meeting, but I'd like to say extremely well chaired. Slowly in solidarity to everybody who's been here, particularly Joel and Steeven. I think it's been an amazing meeting, and really well done to you.
Thank you, Steeven. Steeven is one of the 3 coordinators of Troublemakers at Work. The other one is Ian, who you saw at the beginning, and then the third one is me. So I will wrap it up now, having a look at the clock. And as I said, you all have very busy lives, I'm sure. I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank you all for coming here. Great work doing that middle of the week, coming to this meeting. This event was, as I said, organized by Troublemakers at Work. We have, and I've put it in the chat, lots of links in the chat. We have a conference on July 26th. It's in Manchester. If you want to know about the program, buy tickets. The link is in the chat.